You see, the problem with so many men today is not that they're too kind. No, kindness is a gift. The problem is that their kindness has become a currency, something they use to buy attention, affection, or acceptance. They move through life waiting for someone to validate who they already are. They smile when they don't want to, agree when they shouldn't, and apologize for things that don't even need an apology. All because somewhere deep down, man, they're afraid that if they stop pleasing, they'll stop being loved. But hear me on this: when your confidence depends on someone else's approval, you've already given away your power. The nice guy lives in the tension between who he is and who he thinks he has to be. He's the man who says yes when his spirit is screaming no. He's the one who shows up every time she calls, even when it costs him his peace. He listens, he comforts, he supports, but he never speaks up for what he wants. He's not being ignored because he's kind. He's being overlooked because he's invisible. There's a difference. When your energy says, I need you to like me, people subconsciously stop respecting you because no one can respect what doesn't respect itself. You've got to stop seeking approval and start owning your presence. Stop trying to convince people to see your worth. Stand in it. There's a quiet strength that comes from knowing who you are, even when others don't recognize it. You don't need validation when you walk in conviction. The world starts treating you differently when you stop chasing and start attracting. And attraction, my friend, has nothing to do with manipulation. It's about energy. When you're grounded in your purpose, when you're confident in your direction, you radiate something that no amount of niceness can ever replace. Think about it. The nice guy is always giving, but he's rarely growing. He pours out so much that there's nothing left in his cup. And when people sense that your giving comes from emptiness, it doesn't inspire them, it drains them. But when your kindness flows from confidence, it empowers everyone around you. You can hold the door, you can offer your help, but you do it from a place of choice, not from fear. That's the difference between being kind and being dependent. One is powerful, the other is desperate. The truth is, people can feel the energy behind your actions. You can say the right words, do all the right things, but if the motive is neediness, it shows. It's like a fragrance that lingers in the air. You might not say, please love me, but everything about how you move says it. And that's why the same woman who sees you as her emotional support system can't see you as her partner. You've trained her through your actions to see you as safe, not strong, reliable, not desirable. You taught her that your presence is guaranteed no matter what she gives in return. That's not kindness. That's self-abandonment dressed as loyalty. But you can shift that, starting right now. When you begin to own your presence, everything changes. You walk into a room differently. You speak differently. You even breathe differently. You stop asking for permission to take up space. You stop apologizing for having standards. You stop dimming your light because you're afraid someone might feel uncomfortable. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. You're aligning yourself with the truth that you are already enough. You don't need to chase what you were born to attract. You see, true confidence isn't loud. It's not about acting tough or pretending you don't care. No, true confidence is quiet assurance. It's that calm knowing, that unshakable peace that says, whether you choose me or not, I'm still chosen by purpose. When you live from that space, you stop competing. You stop performing. You stop begging for attention. You start walking like a man who knows that everything meant for him will meet him on the path of authenticity. The most magnetic people in this world are not the most attractive, the richest, or the most popular. They're the most real. They've learned that authenticity outlasts approval. When you stop trying to be liked and start being genuine, you invite the right people to see you clearly. Because the truth is, when you wear a mask to impress others, you attract people who love your mask, not you. And then you wonder why the relationships feel empty. But when you walk in your truth, you attract people who resonate with your essence, not your effort. And that's what owning your presence really means. It means showing up with intention. It means being fully present, fully grounded, fully you. You're not shrinking to fit anyone's expectations. You're not bending to keep peace that costs your soul. You're not proving anything. You're simply being. And that being has power. The kind of power that doesn't need to beg for attention because it naturally commands it. So stop chasing approval like it's oxygen. Approval is temporary. Respect is lasting. And respect begins with how you treat yourself when no one's watching, how you talk to yourself when you fail, how you carry yourself when you're overlooked. That's where real confidence is built. You can't demand respect from others if you're not willing to give it to yourself. Stop saying, why don't they see my worth? And start asking, have I been seeing it myself? Because people will always mirror back to you what you silently believe about you. There's something powerful about a man who's at peace with himself, a man who can give without losing himself, Who can care without clinging? Who can walk away without bitterness? That's strength. And that's the energy that separates the nice guy from the man who's respected. Because the goal isn't to stop being nice. The goal is to stop being needy. You can still be gentle, kind, compassionate, but now it's from a place of abundance, not scarcity. When you no longer need people to validate you, you become free. Free to speak your truth without fear. Free to love without losing your identity. Free to walk away when something doesn't align with your peace. And the moment you start living that way, you'll notice something. People will start treating you differently. Not because you've become someone new, but because you've finally remembered who you've been all along. So, if you've been the nice guy who's tired of being overlooked, stop waiting for someone else to choose you. Choose yourself. Stand tall. Own your voice. And remember this, confidence isn't built in the crowd's applause. It's built in the silence of your own conviction. Because when you stop seeking approval, you start walking in power. You know, one of the hardest things for a kind-hearted person to do is say that little word, no. It sounds simple, but for some people, it feels like lifting a mountain. Because deep down, they're afraid that if they stop saying yes, they'll lose connection, love, or approval. They've been taught that being a good person means being agreeable, being available, being easy to please. But the truth is, without boundaries, kindness becomes weakness. When you don't know where to draw the line, you end up building walls of resentment instead of bridges of respect. See, the nice guy is the one who always says yes. He says yes when he's tired, yes when he's busy, yes when it costs him peace. He convinces himself that one more favor, one more act of service, one more sure, I don't mind, will finally make someone see his worth. But every time he says yes to something that doesn't align with his spirit, he's quietly saying no to himself. He's slowly erasing his identity just to stay liked. And eventually that turns into frustration, bitterness, and confusion, because he's doing everything right in his eyes, yet he keeps ending up wrong in everyone else's story. The truth is, people can sense when your yes doesn't have strength behind it. They can feel when your agreement comes from fear rather than conviction. And when they sense that, they stop respecting your boundaries because they've never seen you enforce them. You've trained them to believe that your comfort doesn't matter as long as they're happy. But that's not love, that's self-betrayal. Real love, real connection thrives on truth. It doesn't grow in manipulation or silent suffering. Learning to say no doesn't mean you've lost your kindness. It means you've found your backbone. It means you've realized that peace is more valuable than popularity. It's understanding that your time, your energy, your heart, they are sacred. And when something is sacred, you don't just give it away freely to anyone who asks. You guard it, you protect it, you give it where it's valued, not just where it's visible. You see, boundaries are not walls that keep people out. They are gates that show people how to come in. When you have boundaries, you're not being difficult. You're being clear. You're saying, this is how I deserve to be treated. This is what I'm willing to accept. And this is what I will no longer tolerate. And the people who truly care about you will respect that. The ones who get offended by your boundaries were only benefiting from your lack of them. But I understand, setting boundaries feels uncomfortable at first, especially if you've spent years pleasing people just to avoid conflict. Saying no can feel like rejection, but it's actually redirection. You're redirecting your energy from people who drain you toward people who understand you. You're teaching the world how to handle your heart. And trust me, when you start doing that, the quality of your relationships changes completely. You move from being needed to being respected, from being tolerated to being valued. Think about it. How many times have you overextended yourself for people who wouldn't do the same for you? How many nights have you spent listening, helping, encouraging, only to realize later that your presence was convenient, not cherished? That's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to change. You can't control how others treat you, but you can absolutely control what you allow. And when you start saying no, not with anger, but with peace, the right people won't run from it. They'll rise to meet it. Saying no doesn't make you rude. It makes you real. It shows that your yes actually means something. Because if you're always saying yes, then your yes carries no value. It's just noise. Boundaries give your words weight. They tell people, when I give you my time, it's intentional. When I show up, it's because I choose to, not because I feel I have to. That shift from obligation to intention changes everything. And let me tell you this, boundaries don't just protect you from others, they protect you from yourself. From the part of you that wants to fix everything, please everyone, and never disappoint anyone. You've got to understand you can't save everyone. You're not responsible for how others feel when you choose peace over pressure. You're responsible for maintaining the integrity of your own heart. Because if you keep giving to everyone else while neglecting yourself, eventually there will be nothing left to give, not even to the people who truly deserve it. When you start setting boundaries, something beautiful happens. Your relationships get filtered. The wrong ones fall away and the right ones deepen. You'll notice who gets defensive, who tries to guilt you, who accuses you of changing. Those reactions are not rejection, they're revelation. They reveal who was there for what you could give, not for who you truly are. Don't mourn those losses. Celebrate them. Because every time you lose someone who couldn't respect your boundaries, you make room for someone who will. There's power in standing firm, even when your voice shakes. There's power in saying, I can't do that right now, or that doesn't align with me, or I need some space. Those words might sound small, but they're heavy with truth. And truth has a way of freeing you, even if it offends others in the process. Because you were never meant to live life constantly apologizing for protecting your peace. Boundaries don't make you hard, they make you whole. They give structure to your kindness. They allow you to give freely without feeling depleted. When you know where you end and others begin, you move through life lighter, clearer, more confident. You stop resenting people for taking advantage because you've learned to stop offering what's not yours to give. You stop expecting others to read your mind because you've learned to express your limits with love. And that's the beauty of it. You can say no with grace. You can reject with respect. You can draw a line without raising your voice. Because real strength doesn't need to shout. It stands firm in silence, knowing that peace doesn't come from pleasing everyone. It comes from honoring yourself. So if you've spent your life saying yes to stay liked, start saying no to stay true. Don't be afraid to disappoint people who were never invested in your happiness to begin with. Your peace, your purpose, your energy. These are not things to be bartered away. They're gifts, and only those who value them should have access. Because when you learn to say no without guilt, you finally make space for the yes that truly matters. The yes to your purpose, your peace, and your power.